For me, those two stories, those two sets of access to information documents really sort of pulled the lid off a lot of the real experience of Canadians who went for two of the really big Canada 150 celebrations this year, Canada Day, Vimy 100. It's kind of a two-part story. It begins on Canada Day. Everybody remembers pouring rain, long lineups, security barriers, and police checking people all over the place. Some pretty unhappy customers. So back then, I did an access to information request. I went to Canadian Heritage, which hosted that show, and I said, can you send me the copies of any complaints you might have got from visitors? And we got hundreds. And people told a very different story from what official Ottawa had told us. The federal government had said there was never more than about a 2 or 2 and a bit hour lineup. We got stuff like this. You wanted us to come to Ottawa? We came. We spent over-the-top exorbitant prices for hotel rooms. We got up early in the rain to line up for what we thought would be 2 hours to get into Parliament Hill. No, we waited 5.5 hours in the rain, and when we got to Kent Street, it was barricaded. That guy never did get in. Other people used words like shame, outrageous, fiasco, and they all got the same response back from Canadian Heritage. It was a two-line sort of format kind of email. Canadian Heritage and all of its security partners have worked diligently so that all Canadians could celebrate Canada Day in a safe atmosphere and environment. That made people even madder. And a funny thing happened after that. This is part 2. Several people contacted me independently and said, well, if you think Canada Day was bad, what about Vimy 100? And I said, well, what about Vimy 100? And people said it was a worse security kind of schmozzle generally at the 100th anniversary of the Battle of Vimy Ridge in France. That was April 9th of this year. So I did another access to information request, this time with Veterans Affairs. It turned out that 25,000 Canadians were really pretty badly treated. They were herded around. They were kept waiting in the sun. They didn't have bathrooms, or at least not enough of them. They had some 40 bathrooms for portable toilets for 25,000 people. They didn't have water, and they couldn't get on and off the site when they wanted to. Some of them got pretty physically banged up. So here's a letter that I got just quite recently, released by, was part of about a 400-page package of letters all complaining to Veterans Affairs. We stood in a solid, uncontrolled mass of people, crushed and pushed for over 3 hours until a shuttle bus would be available for a small number to charge ahead. A person near me fainted but could not slump over due to the close mass of people. This woman describes herself as a senior. She was pushed and shoved into metal gates. She was so banged up that the next day at the airport, she and some of the others needed wheelchairs to get out. And after a very calm, sort of thoughtful, polite letter, she ends up in all capitals. She just writes, "Shame, shame on you." People were shouting curses at the VIPs who got kind of whisked through to the front of the line on the exit. And people had to stand for 2 and 3 hours in the darkness, sometimes separated from their families, to wait for the shuttle buses afterwards to get back to the hotels.